Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in on the west side of the map, playing in blue, we've got Valdemar playing as the Holy Roman Empire. And his opponent in the east, playing in red, we've got Myriad playing as the English. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and if you're not, well, maybe today we can cheer you up with some English versus the HRE. A classic matchup, a great matchup on Dry Arabia. Two civilizations that have actually gone through a lot of changes. You've got the HRE that, actually, you know what, nowadays do have a great feudal age on them. I think they always have, but you know, the Castle Age play into relics has always been so strong with the Regulus Cathedral that it often felt like if you're not doing that, then you feel like you're kind of missing out as the HRE. But with marching drills now in the fray for the HRE, makes the feudal age extension, the extended feudal age rather, a little bit more appealing. The infantry with extra movement speed, 15%, can pay dividends, especially in this particular matchup, by the way. We'll talk about that in just a moment, because the English have had some changes as well. The English king coming in for free from the Abbey of Kings does allow them to get away with a couple of shenanigans. Maybe adding in a second town centre is always an option for them. But specifically for this matchup, marching drills can be important, because the English, if they do open up longbowmen and typically lean towards that, the HRE can do pretty well against that. Like the interplay, the kind of mechanics behind it with the longbows versus regular archers, for instance, is that the longbows have more range, they're a bit more expensive, but the regular archers are faster. And if you compound that with the marching drills for the HRE, the archers are even faster than your standard ones. And the reason why that's quite key and important is because whilst the English will get the first shot off with the extra range, the archers can gap close pretty quickly for the HRE. And once they do gap close, if they have a military number advantage, they could win fights pretty quickly without the English being able to escape. It's that kind of tug of war action that can happen, and sometimes quite snowbally. But we shall see. The HRE actually opting for the Myriad Palace. That's actually curious to see. Super surprised by that, actually. The Arkan Chapel, held by many as being a landmark that you just can't really ignore. But it looks like Valdemar is ignoring it today. Now the Myriad Palace will give some extra resources, extra text rather, which will be a little bit easier on the resources, because the regular text from the blacksmith from the Myriad Palace are actually 50% cheaper and 50% faster as well. And I suspect Valdemar is going for this because he wants those texts in nice and early, just so that he can take the first initial engagements. And I guess at this point with the Myriad Palace kind of play, it does feel like it's going to be a second TC play, but no villagers on stone just yet for Valdemar. Curious play. We'll have to see how this one pans out. On the other side of things, it will be the Abbey of Kings. No real surprises there for the English. Going to be getting that king nice and early, and he is going to venture out onto stone, so it will be a second town centre play here for Myriad as well. I say as well, actually. I mean, we really don't know actually for the HRE. Considering how he's not on stone just yet, he could just be going for the car. This is an awkward build, but he's not on gold either. Very strange. It might just be a feudal age pressure, actually. So neither two town centres, neither castle age, but more to play for the feudal age. And that kind of makes sense when you go for Myriad Palace. I'm kind of curious if he's going to go for a stable first or a barracks. He's going to go for a stable first for the extra mobility with the horsemen, despite a king going to be coming out soon. He's going to keep a couple of villages on gold, of course, because he will want to afford those techs. Despite being 50% cheaper, he still has to spend some gold on it. A second town centre will be coming out for the English pretty soon. Kind of curious to see where he places this, right? You could make a play for the deer camp, but typically the English do place a second town centre a little bit closer to home. And considering the gold positions are very exposed, I wouldn't be surprised to see a TC on the gold. Because if he's thinking about the castle age behind it, he's definitely going to need access to that forward gold. Now, I would like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, if you're watching on YouTube and you have a couple of seconds, do drop a comment in the comment section below. Just drop down your favourite emoji. Helps me out massively on the YouTube algorithm side of things. I appreciate you guys so much. Horsemen going across the map now for the HRE. Looking to get value here, but Well, he deletes the mining camp even. He's going to go for the gold and wood line. I wonder if the horsemen will arrive on time actually for Valdemar to try and challenge that. Doesn't seem so. I have to take a closer look at that in just a moment. King going to go on the gold vein, but villagers have reacted. He does get the horseman there in time, but he's underneath the town centre fire, so I don't know about this. Like, I don't think he's going to get too much out of this. Yeah, decides to back away. No real point sticking it out underneath the TC fire. Unlikely to get a villager kill, and he just leaves a horseman for free. No, he's starting to escalate the archer numbers actually. It's quite nice to see. Does lose one horseman. The king trying to focus on those archers, doing a good job of it, and I mean he's going to pick off a couple, right? This is great for the king because he should be able to retreat out of here, go back to the Abbey Kings and heal on up. So it's kind of free value here for Myriad, I gotta say. Looks like it's going to be horseman archer play here. Look how fast these archers move, jeez. 1.38 tiles per second, considering a scout is 1.65, you know, 6.2 rather. That's a lot of movement speed. Horseman going to chase down the king, but he should be able to escape out of this. And heal on up. He actually adds in a stable. Nice to see this play, this aggression coming out for Myriad. Makes a lot of sense actually, because he's up against horsemen and archers. So full horseman would work for him. Especially with the accompanying king, he could always use horsemen, and when they're weak, bring them back on home to heal on up easily. Welcome on in, Fatlop. Hope you're doing well, my buddy. Welcome on in. Double stable, in fact. So yeah, he's definitely going to play for that mass horseman play, which I quite like to see. Knight charges on in, and you know, you just keep the enemy preoccupied, do some damage where he can, and then heal on up with the Abbey Kings. It's such a great landmark in this situation, actually. With good micro, units don't have to die here for Myriad and the English. Cancel the second stable, changes his mind, adds an archery range. Interesting play. Oh, that's so smart. I mean, I think to be fair, he made the barracks anyway earlier on. But it makes a lot of sense, right? Because spearmen are on the way, and that's going to be a lot better at dealing with this. Now that spearmen are added into the mix. A lot of aggression for Valdemar. I wonder if he's going to get siege engineering. Yeah, he has. He's queued it up. Doesn't quite have the wood income for it just yet, though, to get us a ram. But it might not take too long with 15 villagers on wood. Might just need to unqueue some of the archers and he'll be fine. But he's pumping. He's making them. King going to dive on in, but there's a lot of units here. Oh, Myriad. Yeah, okay. He wasn't attack moving there. At this point, he can't really take easy trades here, so he has to back away. This could be a bit dangerous, actually. Myriad has to be on the defensive. Now, granted, you know, if you're going to be defensive against the English, it's not necessarily a bad thing. They are incredibly good at it. Could be tricky. Yeah, definitely interesting to see a few late all in, and I'm a big fan of this playstyle actually. I think Atrio have had this in their locker for a long time, but the problem is going up against the English doing this. The English have got such good defenses, and if Myriad plays this right, he should be okay, especially with the archers or longbows coming in. But it does need to scale the units quickly, right? Like 2TC is not cheap to run, right? On village count in terms of food. It does have a mass transition to farms. 8 farms is actually quite a lot. It's a really good amount of food income. But it needs to pump out units. It needs it fast. Gonna go for a double ram. I wonder if he stays with 2 or goes for 3. Getting all these upgrades nicely. All that remains to get is Bloomery. And he's got the full feudal age upgrades. About to push on through. It's a good number of archers, good number of horsemen. Archers do garrison inside. The rams are going to start to make work on that second town centre. And the second towns are pretty squishy, by the way. Only 2,500 HP and only 7 garrisonable spots. But all the villages actually move away. And I think Myriad might be giving up the second town centre, actually. I don't think he wants to fight this. Not yet. Doesn't really have the units to do so. So he's actually going to be a bit more aggressive and try and get raiding and try and pick off reinforcements. It's a nice play. Needs to be careful about these villages, though. Kind of exposed, like he wasn't expected to lose the second town centre too easily, so these farms are very exposed. Gonna have to go around the back, and he might lose quite a few farms as well. That's unfortunate. Like yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing to bear in mind. If you're going up against an all-in, you know, you typically do want to get the farms in between 2 town centres, but if you can give up the town centre like this, farms would have been far more suitable to be around the back. You build his production there, garrisons inside. I mean, thing is, Valdemar diving in here. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get good value. There's a good number of archers going to go on the village in the back. This is going to be a bit tricky here for Myriad. How does he survive this? Going to rush a house. He's been housed. That's a lot of villagers going to go down. Oh, this is not looking good for him at all. Coming with the cavalry. He's going to need to dive on in if he can. I mean, to be fair, the TC getting good value, but he's going to lose a lot of villagers. Does he have textiles? That's a big question. He does, thankfully. That certainly helps. He might need to fight with the village at this point. In fact, he's going to go outside the range of the archers. Cavalry diving on in. I think, to be fair, he should be okay. He's going to hold. Having lost 13 villagers, though. But ultimately, he had a second town centre, so villager count-wise, he's not too far behind. Only 2 behind. And he's dealt with that push. And he's going to rebuild those farms. So this is not too terrible for Myriad. I mean, ultimately, he did have a lot of idle economy. But he's held on. Going to take down that ram pretty quickly. Down she goes. Or maybe not. Hello? Alright, he's going to go for the army first before they escalate. Myriad, take out the ram. Take it out. And we'll just go for the archers for now. It's unlikely the ram survives, but there is a world in which the villagers come out to repair it and it could be used later. But to be fair, the push is kind of stopped here. And it's going to be 1 TC versus 1 TC at this point. Diving in, might lose a horseman or two. Going to try and back away. I think he loses this one. He does. He's going to snipe out the ram, and I think does he back away here? I don't think Myriad can take this fight just yet. You want to keep the horseman alive, right? Let's keep him back home, survive, repair, heal on up. He might lose another one though if he's not too careful. The archer's going to focus 5. Valdemar will pick it off, I'm afraid, for Myriad. Take down the horseman. That'll allow the king to get some value, and he's going to charge on in. Doesn't feel comfortable retreating just yet. He feels like there's still more value to be had, and why not? Well, the king, though, I think he might lose the king. The horseman will chase after it, potentially. No, he manages to get a good lead here and should get out of there. Yeah, Myriad will do well to retreat and defend. Well, not defend, but retreat and regroup.
Yes, sir.
And this is where it becomes tricky, right? Now, certainly, one thing to bear in mind is, I know minework gets a lot of stick, but, you know, the Arcane Chapel can be replaced. Just make more prelates. Of course, it eats into your villager count and time. Or he's going to lose the king. He does go down, unfortunately, there by Myriad. He loses it, and it's an expensive unit to have to remake. He remakes it instantaneously, though. I think Myriad needs to keep pumping units. There's no, you know, there's no way. He just needs to keep pumping. He needs to hold this. Valdemar's not done yet. Going into the deer camp. Certainly very valuable here for Myriad. Look at this, Valdemar. He's pumping. Yeah, so certainly the Arcane Chapel can be replaced by those prelates. Minework offers something a little bit extra in terms of good timings. And he's also got the unique upgrades. So the horseman pretty good here for the Holy Roman Empire. Spearmen alike. Got the extra armor, of course. He's adding a couple of man-at-arms as well. The English do get access to them as well. Good number of longbows should take down that horseman pretty quickly. The archer's trying to gap close, right? You can see the importance of the marching drills here. But I don't think he quite has enough. The spearman is getting good value. Longbows need to snipe it if he can. He's not focused on it just yet. He does take out the spearman now. Now look, take that man-at-arms. Man-at-arms managed to get out of there. Does have the iron undermesh upgrade, so it makes it a little bit more tankier. Bear in mind, all these units will be healing on up, and he could also look to get campfire. Although, he would need a scout for that. Good number of archers. Might pick off another horseman. Speaking of horsemen, 2 horsemen still will survive here, Valdemar. This is great. This is a great game so far. I love these sorts of games. A kind of tug of war, back and forth, feudal age aggression. Good few hits there, using the range advantage, but this is where marching drills comes into play, right? Like, those archers are going to gap close really quickly, especially with the man-at-arms as well. Horsemen diving on in, and actually, this could be a decent fight for Valdemar. Now, the king getting some good value, but longbows are kind of caught, right? This is the importance of marching drills in a nutshell. Of course, Myriad got the first hit, but then the archers gap close, and then they make it very difficult for Myriad rather to escape. But defender's advantage works out well for him. Horseman coming on in, and this is definite tug of war. Just going to group up the archers and try and poke and prod against these horsemen a little bit more. behind this. The great thing for the English is that the extended feudal age means that the farming economy, as it does establish itself, is going to be looking really good for him. But he needs to get there. Speaking of farming transition, it's going to be working out for him soon. But he's going to need more prelates to boost that one up. I was going to go with the King's Palace. This is interesting. And I don't hate it, actually. This is going to be a good time for a tech up. I mean, because bear in mind the unit numbers are relatively similar. Of course, Valdemar will continue to scale, but the placement of the King's Palace will protect that gold vein. So he should be able to secure both the farms in terms of protection, also the gold, which is exactly what he needs for the castle age units. He's going to need the veterancy on those longbows, and that could pay dividends. The question is, can he survive, and will Valdemar spot this in time? That's the key question, because Valdemar is constantly knocking at the door. And if the unit numbers do start to scale, he might push on further on, and he might spot the tech up, and I think he does. This could be dangerous. He blinked first, Myriad, but would he be blinking for the last time? Would he be out of the game because of this decision? That's the question. Man-at-Arms tanking there for the HRE, pushes the villagers away. He doesn't cancel the King's Palace just yet. Feels optimistic. Maybe he can get it built. There's a good number of horsemen, though, to be fair, for the English. It's going to take a bit of a beating, though, with these archers, and Man-at-Arms tanking for those longbows to fire on them. Valdemar, he might double down. He might be sending everything he can. Villagers coming out to rebuild, and maybe slowly but surely he might manage it. Longbows with their range, getting some good hits. Horsemen diving on here for the HRE, but he gets snagged by the palings. Those palings positioned perfectly allows the longbows to take down those horsemen. That was massive. That could be a difference here between getting the King's Palace and not, because look at this. Now the numbers are starting to scale. Those two horsemen going down to the palings was absolutely huge by Myriad. He gets the tech up. Castle Age comes on in. Villagers garrison inside, and now Valdemar will find it difficult to push on through here. Maybe he has to think about Castle Age himself, because it feels like he doesn't really have enough to push this the way it stands. Instantly getting a monastery. I love this play. Attention to detail for those relics, making sure that he plays it slowly, methodically. Making the right decisions here, Myriad, to pick off the mid-map objectives, especially considering now Valdemar, he's going to have his tail between his legs, going to have to back on home and try and defend until he gets to the castle edge. Or maybe, I mean, this is the thing, right? Does Valdemar get to the castle edge soon? I'm not so sure. This is the tough part, right? We've mentioned constantly on the channel 3 parameters to think about when you're taking up. Do you have a standing army? Do you have static defenses to survive with? And is there a way you can push your enemy's army back? Now, he does have a good standing army, and he does have the ability to push the enemy army back. And he's starting to get those static defenses. So maybe Valdemar will be okay getting the castle age soon. But the tricky part is to make the army, he's having to spend all the resources he's got. Looking to wall up. There's the static defenses. Going to buy some time, secure up. Meanwhile, Myriad, we're looking to pick up those relics. Trying to get the outpost. Doesn't quite manage it, would you believe? Good snipe there. It will go up in the end, of course. Veteran archers. This is going to do a lot of damage. It's going to have to be a bit tricky here for Valdemar. He's got feudal age units to fight with. And even man-at-arms, I mean, sure, they're tanky. He's got iron undermesh, but these guys are veteran. He's going to focus on the archers for now. Going to tank a little bit with the king. King goes down. There is a knight there as well. But ultimately, Valdemar might take this fight, and he might win it just by sheer numbers. The knights, though, might have something to say about this. 2 of them. Going to buy some time for Myriad. That's exactly what he needs to do. He needs to buy as much time as he possibly can. And trouble is for Myriad, he did lose quite a few units. He needs to regroup, recover. He needs to get the veteran units out of there and make sure they survive. Group up together and not throw away the next fight. He's on the deer camp on the south. Oh, bit of wolf action. He's picked up the first relic, and that's going to be great for that economy. Bear in mind, King's Palace is up and operational. Unfortunately, doesn't get the wall along the villagers. Cheeky, cheeky. And plenty of farms, so that food income is going to be scaling very nicely. Castle Age, they're going to be coming in for Valdemar. Interestingly, the Regent's Cathedral, understandable because, you know, it's a bit tricky, right, to do everything. He's got 2 town centres effectively here, Myriad. He's got an army to produce, and he's got farming transition on the way, and he's looking to pick up those relics. So Regent's Cathedral could have some value here. Potentially, as long as he gets at least 2 of the relics, Valdemar will be feeling good about that decision. Knight going on the north, looking to just delay things and force Valdemar back home. And the village count is growing for the English. How's it going, Byzantine? Do you cast any Plastic League players? No, I don't actually. I mean, it's something I maybe considered. Let me know actually in the YouTube comment section below afterwards if you would be interested in something like that. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's always tricky, right? Because when you cast pro player games, there's a lot to talk about in terms of strategic genius. I think casting lower level players, you kind of have to focus on maybe wacky decisions they've made and unusual decisions. I don't know. It's a bit tricky one. Because you also may be getting in the habit of giving them kind of coaching or pointers of what to do, but then it becomes a bit more preachy, and then, you know, it's a bit of a tricky one. I might try it out, but I'm not sure about the dynamics of it. Because it might come across a bit more preachy, because there's a lot of mistakes that will happen. And it'll be more focusing on weird decisions being made, because there will be weird decisions being made, no doubt about it, and suboptimal ones. So I'm not so sure. But thanks for the questions. Do I ever cast post games that I play in? I used to, not anymore. I usually play cheese strategies mostly, and occasionally here team games, but mostly cheese strategies. Granted, I cast a lot more than I play at the moment. Do I ever cast Fat Blab? Maybe one day. Yeah, it is Myriad, the Myths of the Mind. These are our very own Myriad. Good number of knights, good number of longbows, but with the castle age in for Valdemar now, these units going to be upgraded. Veteran horsemen, veteran archers. It's actually looking decent numbers, but doesn't want to take the fight just yet. A great thing for Myriad, he has extended the network of castles bonus, is very significant. That's a good number of times. It could be a bit dicey here for Myriad. I've got to say, good micro to challenge in with those knights to tank in the front line. Just allow the longbows to try and escape. But this is where marching drills really comes into play. Look at the movement speed of the infantry unit, and Myriad may have to sacrifice the knights to get the longbows out. We'll have to see. He's going to try and retreat together in unison, but Valdemar pushing on in. That's a lot of man-at-arms, and boy, do they move in their heavy armor. They move fast. Myriad kind of overshot here. He's a bit in trouble. Charges on with the knights, gets some good damage output, but he's all about holding on here for Myriad. Monk going to be sacrificed. A couple of new knights do pop out, and he's going to be fighting with the Abbey of the Kings healing on up, but I don't think he quite has enough. There's a lot of man-at-arms. He might need to take into crossbows here potentially in Myriad, but he's got to find a way to deal with this push. This push is coming in hot, but 4 relics in play for Myriad. Going to be great for the economy villager lead for sure, but he has to survive this. It's all well and good having a villager lead, but it's not good enough if you don't have the military numbers to protect them. Man-at-arms tanking, the king leading the line. He's actually holding on pretty well on his own, with the support of the longbows. And looks like Myriad is adding in his own man-at-arms now. Is he going to overshoot here? He's going to be careful here, Myriad, not to dive in too much, because I don't think he has enough. I mean, to be fair, Valdemar not feeling confident dealing with this. Does lose the king to the outpost within spring order placement. And he's going to get armoured clad. He's going to upgrade to the man-at-arms as well. There's a tech switch going on, and I like... Oh, sorry about that. I do like it, because, of course, the English do love to play for this man-at-arms play. Especially as they get to the later stages of the game. Of course, enclosures comes into play in the Imperial Age. And he's already getting that farm set up nicely and beautifully for it. Would do well to get a unit down in the south, though, to deactivate the sacred sites if he can. Just to deny the gold income for Valdemar more than anything. Valdemar looking to take the ball. Up in the north, oh, could be a good bit of raiding here. I mean, Myriad can't fight this with the villagers. He has to run. Wedge rivets is in play, and even without wedge rivets, to be fair, these horsemen would be tough to deal with. Knight getting involved, and we'll lose a couple of villagers, but not the end of the world for Myriad. Not when you're sitting at 90 versus 69 villagers. Going for stone. Oh, a couple of archers will be taken apart by the knights, but I like the fact he's going for stone. Looking to get a keep in the middle position potentially here, Myriad. Try and secure key areas of the map. Now we are at the 25-minute mark of the game where we start to think about those 8,000 gold vein tiles, right? One in the north, one in the south. I think this is a big play here because it contains the sacred site and the gold vein. I would love to see a player go for the keep there. To be fair, same could be pretty much said for the north, but a little bit further spaced apart the two key features of the map. Man-at-arms attacking there for both players. Good number of longbowmen there for Myriad, but there's healing coming up for the prelates. That's a big additional fight feature for the HRE. Does decap the sacred site in the north? Got 1,000 odd stone in the bank for the English. A cracking game of Age of Empires up to now. Oh, there's a couple of villagers dying here pretty badly. Just gonna have to run on out of there. This is the weird thing, right? Thinking he pressed garrison the villagers, and a lot of them trying to go in the outpost. Granted, spring replacement going to be coming at the perfect time. So we'll clear this one out. Yeah, Myriad looking to get the keep in the south. Exactly what we expected to see happen. Going for the gold and the sacred site. Carve up the map. Get protection on the gold veins. That's what he wants to do. And is continuing to mine stone as well. So could potentially even make a play for the northern one. And then push down the middle with military. Looking good here for Myriad, I've got to say. What's that Valdemar though? Having killed quite a few villagers, he's not terribly behind. Granted, Palace of Swabia could be a thing, but now they're heading to a stage where there's 72 villagers already for him. He might think about Elsback. Knights diving around the back, farming transition around the TC. No Ark and Chapel today, of course, for Valdemar. Went for the Minework Palace. Hence why he's doing so well on the blacksmith upgrades. They're cheaper and also coming faster. Decapping the sacred site down the middle and also capping it for himself, which is a nice touch to get that extra bit of gold in. Speaking of gold, he's getting gold out of his ears here. Myriad might be thinking about Imperial Age himself, and I think at this point possibly could be thinking about the Wingard Palace. We have to see. Maybe a cheeky Berkshire in the middle. Both plausible options. Myriad has had some good raids with these knights. Forced Valdemar back at home. 3 mangonels though. It's a strong army for the HRE for sure. Myriad has got to be careful. There's a lot of longbowmen. They could die very quickly to those mangonels. He's wary of it. He's got to be. He's got to invest in a siege workshop here, I think, Myriad. He's got to get those springolds. He's got to get away for dealing with this. Or maybe go for man-at-arms mass. Yeah, he's going to go for the Wingard Palace. Myriad, is he paying attention? Uh-oh, this could be dangerous. He is paying attention. He's backing off. Slowly but surely, the HRE pushing on forward. Wait. Did Myriad cancel that? Is he going to switch to Berkshire? It's quite possible. Wait. I mean, he cancelled it. He hasn't switched yet. He's got the bank of resources once again. I think he maybe wanted to hold on for this push, maybe, potentially. We shall see if he commits to a Berkshire or not. Maybe he wants to deal with this first, potentially. That's a lot of army. The trouble is the springolds, right? He needs the mangonels, rather. And the lack of springolds for the English. Getting a keep in the north, so he's got a good carving of the map in the north and the south. The trouble is the middle. And this is possibly the most important part. He needs to find a way to deal with those mangonels. This could be disastrous. Valdemar is itching further forward. There's no way further to retreat here for Myriad. He might just have to take the fight somehow. First mangonel shot. Great shot there by Valdemar. And a second and a third. Getting a lot of those farms, and Myriad is under all sorts of trouble. Those mangonels in a choke point. It's going to be hard to get on top of that. He might, though, with a couple of units, potentially, if he can sacrifice. But he's got springolds now. He's got 2 of them. Slowly but surely he can take out those mangonels. No springolds follow up for Valdemar, though. That's possibly a mistake. I mean, if the mangonels go down, then the push doesn't look as dangerous. He's repairing the springold. Great work there. Going to try and snap out the other mangonel. Mangonel's itching further forward. Should get another mangonel. Great play there by Myriad. With those springolds, gets the units he needs. Going to take out one of their other mangonels. Mangonel deploys, gets a good shot off on the villagers. Villagers fighting as well. But now Myriad should be good for the hold. Down in the south. Oh, there's a lot of other villagers. A single archer. And of course, Myriad is focusing elsewhere. Yet another mangonel, but he's diving on the wood line. He's losing quite a few villagers here. 39 losses so far in total. So good damage output for the HRE. It's going to the Palace of Swabi here for Valdemar to boom on up, to get that villager count ripping and roaring. And it's kind of crazy that he's been able to take up with all this aggression. And whilst he loses the fight, he'll be looking to win the war overall with that tech up to the Imperial Age. He's got there first. Myriad might be thinking about that Wingard Palace again. Malantarm's chasing down. We'll clear that on up and it will be the Wingard Palace. He's going to move forward with the Springalds. And this is a nice touch, right? I mean, he doesn't have enough siege in terms of taking structures down, especially with the emergency repair. I'm not so sure about this, actually. I think this stays up for quite some time. Because, of course, Valdemar can always press the button. Although, to be fair, there's a decent amount of torch damage coming out of these Malantarms. I'm sure we'll place emergency repairs. Press it, press it, press it, Valdemar. Hanging out. Two of them. And a Culverin too. Oh, this could be a bit disastrous for Myriad, actually. Looking to take the trade. Going to try and take out as much siege as possibly can, but Culverin's already got a lot of damage output. It's taken out the two Springalds. That allows the Mangonel to do its work now. Mangonel about to deploy. He's repairing the Culverin. He keeps the Culverin alive despite the Malantarm's tanking. He loses the Mangonel, which is absolutely huge, actually. If you had a choice between the two, you'd want the Mangonel in this particular situation with how many longbows there are, but he should be good for the defense here, Valdemar. Myriad continues to add in those Malantarms, and I love the extension of the outpost. He's doing this so well to get the network of castles. Hopefully network of citadels, and it is indeed network of citadels. A couple of archers around the back. Myriad is going to have to deal with that. It does have the potential to activate all three sacred sites. Could be an option for him. Does have enough stone almost for a keep. Just a little bit more needed. Doesn't have anything else mining though. It might need to just buy it, to be fair, at this point with the market, potentially. But Imperial Age is in now. Going to get the elite upgrades. Elite upgrades not in yet for Valdemar. Isn't able to afford it, right? Doesn't have the strongest economy. I tell you what though, with Myriad getting to the Imperial Age, he's getting all important upgrades. Enclosures coming in soon. That's going to be really great for that farming economy. Food and gold, both alike. Myriad, having held that last push, is actually looking in a really strong position. Granted, the villager difference isn't all that much now, but it has been a great difference for a long period of time. And that does start to take its toll on the game. It's being chased down, will be cleared up. Culverin itching forward, two of them in fact. A couple of bombards are going to be on the way here for the English. Just as well, because we will need a siege push to accompany this this push down in the south. In the middle of the map, rather. Good number of Malantarms, a couple of longbows. Here comes the bombards. Emergency repairs gets activated on the outpost. I love the play for Massa outpost here, because if he loses one, he loses the network, right? He needs to keep the network of citadels up for as long as possible. Gonna charge on in. There it is, Malantarm's tanking there for the HRE. Longbows working there. Magic, but I mean, to be fair, it might be crossbows more than he needs. Adding in hand cannoneers. And Malantarm's hand cannoneers could be important. Villagers coming out to repair the Culverin. Malantarm's trying to take it down. Two of them, in fact, and the repair rate is ridiculous. And Myriad, I don't think he gets that in the end. It might be close. I don't think he does. He doesn't. But two bombards starting to itch further forward. Added in a couple of crossbows now. I love that switch. And he's got the Wingard Rangers as well on the back line. The Wingard Palace working out for him. Looks like the relic going to be placed in that outpost in the forward position. Bombards might take it down before it goes inside though. Trying to wallow maybe. Malantarm's getting on top of that. He's going to have to retreat here a little bit. And Myriad does activate the sacred site timer. 10 minutes on the clock. And it's ticking. It's ticking. Almost at full population capacity here, Myriad. Valdemar struggling with that. Despite the Palace of Swabia. Gonna get a defensive keep, but that's a bit of a tricky situation, right? Because there's still two bombards, but there are two Culverins defending. All crossbows need to start firing. Wingard Rangers firing on the back line. He's gonna focus on the villagers. Look at the range on the Wingard Rangers. Absolutely ridiculous. 9 tiles range. And he's trying to snap out as many villagers as possible. The thing is, though, it might be a bit of a bait, right? Focusing on villagers for the HRE. They've got Palace of Swabia, so we'll make them back again pretty quickly. He's starting to win the fight there in the middle. Myriad He's starting to push on full force. This is looking tricky for Valdemar. He doesn't get the keep up and he has to tap out. A great game of Age of Empires 4. And it will be the English taking the game on Dry Arabia. A classic match, an absolute beauty of a game. Hope you guys enjoyed this on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care and see you next time.